Is what we experience in our dreams real? Could it be that dreams are just a parallel dimension? Would it be possible to return to the same places in our dreams several times in a row? Hello beings, welcome to the experience. My name is Flamino, and today I'm going to show you the experience I had of creating a second reality in my dream. I would like to kindly ask you to leave a like here to support my work. I know you really enjoy the dream videos, so I'm always making them. Leave a like so I know you enjoy them. And comment Pocahontas. Getting straight to the point, not long ago, I started a 30-day yoga challenge. It will be the next video after this one. And during this experience, my friend, my meditation master who's been helping me, Guilherme Romano, suggested that I try to meditate in a lucid dream. Since he knows that I have this ability to control my dreams, he said, try this experiment, see what happens. I didn't have high expectations, but what happened was really bizarre. Whenever I'm in these experiences that involve meditation, I end up having more control over my dreams, more lucidity, right? Lucidity would be you knowing that you're dreaming while in the dream and having a certain amount of control over it. And because of past experiences, I ended up learning to develop this ability to do whatever I want in my dream. Literally whatever I want, I can do in my dream. I just need to keep up with some habits, be able to remember my dreams well, and be able to control them to the fullest, right? And then I started having lucid dreams and writing them down. And some very unusual things started happening. One of them had never happened before. Well, here we go. My first dreams, they ended up not being as lucid and as under my control as the next ones, right? We get more practice as this keeps happening night after night. This dream began with random situations too insignificant to mention. But when I woke up, what I remembered at first from earlier in the dream was me being in an elevator. And in that elevator, I became lucid. A very beautiful woman entered, staring into my eyes, and approached me as if she was going to kiss me. That's such an unusual situation that I thought it might be a dream. Look, the guy's really rejected by women, right? Like, a woman hit on me. It can only be a dream. No, but jokes aside, I really realized it was a dream because it was such an unusual situation, so I questioned if that was a dream. And while she was right there in front of me, I even looked at my hands. Looking at your hands, for those who don't know, is a very simple, very practical way to find out if you're dreaming or not. Usually our hands are distorted, and this is a famous reality check. There are several reality checks. I use this one the most, not just for looking at your hands. As soon as I noticed my hands were distorted, I left the elevator and ignored the woman there. The guy's really gay, right? When I left the elevator, I walked straight into a mountainous area, like a big canyon. When I say there are random things, I really mean random. I wasn't lucid enough, so I decided to break a mountain with telekinetic powers to test if I was really in a dream. I walked out of an elevator straight into a big canyon after seeing my distorted hand, and I still wasn't sure if I was dreaming. Strangely enough, this is a very common situation. It's normal for you to dream about something that could never be real, totally random, meaningless, and still not suspect that it's a dream, not suspect that it's not real. In dreams, nonsensical things can seem logical. Very quickly, I became lucid and remembered that Guilherme had asked me to try meditating in a dream, so I found the highest mountain to meditate on top of it. I don't know why I had to meditate on the highest mountain. See, that doesn't make sense either. I could just meditate and save time. I tried meditating and noticed that when I closed my eyes in the dream, I immediately felt my body in bed. So I said, damn, if I close my eyes here, I'm going to wake up. And then I used a technique that makes us stay longer inside the dream, at least it works for me, which is spinning. So I got up and started spinning, right? I saw the Grand Canyon spinning there, and that really made everything much more vivid. When I meditated again, I felt my body on the bed, and like I was about to wake up. It's very noticeable, this feeling that I'm about to wake up, the dream is ending. And then I thought, man, I need to be able to close my eyes and spin. And that's when watching superhero movies helps, guys. I decided to sit down, make my body float with a piece of rock underneath me so I could keep sitting and that piece of rock would spin with me. So I wouldn't wake up and could keep feeling the spinning sensation while meditating. Look, the creativity, man, I felt just like Dr. Manhattan. So yeah, right? I woke up, I mentioned it to Guilherme and said, look, I couldn't meditate in the dream, but in the next lucid dream, I'll try again, right? But I don't think it's going to work. Because every time I close my eyes, I realize I'm about to wake up, right? It's like a way to end the dream. That actually has always been a technique I used to wake up from a nightmare. Sometimes we realize we're dreaming during a nightmare, but aren't lucid enough to control it. I realized that if I closed my eyes and focused, I'd wake up. So, I always use that, and maybe that's why I can't close my eyes and stay inside the dream. But then the next night came. I reappeared in the dream as if I had woken up from a deep sleep, exactly in the same place where I was at the end of my previous dream. As if I had created a checkpoint. You know when you die in a game and respawn at that part of the level? Just by remembering that, I realized I was dreaming. I didn't need to do any reality check, that was enough. So I decided to walk around that area and find out what was in my dream. I noticed several objects scattered on the ground, as if someone had passed by and forgotten some things, but they were very random objects. There was even a street light there. Don't ask me why. A bit further, I saw a dry cactus by a watering can and chose to water it. It doesn't make sense. The cactus lives in the desert, so you don't need to water it, right? After watering the cactus, I decided to fly high since I enjoy it in my dreams. From up there, while I was admiring the scenery, I noticed a character I had already seen in several dreams. This character here, I've seen him several times in several dreams, and his appearance is always very true to the previous dreams. I had amazing dreams with this character, deep conversation, incredible. I think it's been about 10 years that I've been having dreams where this character appears. He's an Asian gentleman. As soon as I got in front of him, I recognized him and thought, I'm in a dream, this isn't real. Instantly, I thought about making him disintegrate. I don't know why I do this, but I don't like characters in my dreams. When there are people in my dreams, I usually disintegrate them, just like Thanos. That must say a lot about me, right? But as soon as I decided to think about it, you looked at me with a sad face and said, please, give me a chance to speak. Don't do this to me now. At that moment, I felt really sorry and decided not to disintegrate the old man. Not that, well, I know it's a lie. I know it's just my subconscious and not real, but I still felt sorry. So I started questioning him why I shouldn't do it. None of this is real. What a psychopath. This conversation was really memorable for me. I don't even need to read it. I asked him, why shouldn't I do this if nothing here is real? He replied, why isn't it real to you? Because I can disintegrate you. Just kidding. That's not what I said. I answered him that it's because here I have total control over everything. And then he replied to me, but if you have control, wouldn't it make more sense for this place to be real than a place where you don't have control? And then I was like, wow, that makes sense. And then I was thoughtful, so I told him, it's because I learned it that way. I learned that this is a fake place because we can't have control over things. And then he said, is everything you learned always right? He started giving me good arguments. There are a lot of arguments here. In this dream, I realized that the more the sun went down, the more I lost my lucidity, as if the sunlight was what kept my lucidity in this dream. But in this dream, I wasn't aware, I wasn't lucid enough to remember that my goal there was to try to meditate. Next dream, many random scenes, really a lot. Until I realized I was selling orange juice on Paulista Avenue, as if that wasn't random, right? I was selling orange juice on Paulista Avenue when I discovered a charm technique that boosted my sales. I was being extremely friendly with people, but that made a lot of people gather around my little stand. There are some details here that I'm not going to talk about, no. At that moment, I realized that all my remaining oranges were really rotten, really bad. That made me realize I was dreaming. I don't know why, but the fact that the orange was really rotten made me become lucid in the dream. But okay, right? At that moment, I knew exactly where I was. Even though I was in a place that looked like Paulista, I knew that this environment, which looked like a big canyon, was close to me. I decided to fly there. These details of us already being sure about something during the dream are really funny. I've had a lot of experiences seeing people in my dreams that I thought I knew, but then when I woke up, I realized, wow, I don't know this person. I have no idea who they are. But in the dream, I was certain it was a close friend. After I woke up, I couldn't remember the face, though it felt very familiar during the dream. Sometimes that happens with places too. You might walk somewhere and know that if you turn right, the street will look a certain way. when you wake up, you wonder, how did I know that? So I decided to fly really high to try to find exactly the place where I was in my last dream, because I knew I needed to meditate there. I didn't need to meditate there, but in my dream it made sense. Within seconds, I was already there, flying over the place, and I noticed the old man playing an instrument. I stopped in front of him and decided to enjoy the music and try to meditate to the sound of that vocal vibration. Every time I close my eyes to meditate in a dream, I immediately wake up. It's really difficult. But one very interesting thing that I wasn't even paying much attention to is that the place I went to again was exactly the same as before. That kind of big canyon kept repeating. It became a checkpoint in my dream. And then I thought, after I woke up, right, could it be that the fact that I'm meditating in the dream is making me go back to that same place? That day I had taken melatonin. Here's another pattern I found. Let me get it. The next day, I wrote it on my phone since I hadn't done it right after waking up. It was a really random dream. I was in some kind of maromba mansion, where it was a house of bodybuilders. I was having coffee when I realized I was lucid, and I wanted to play a prank on the bodybuilders there. And there were a bunch of egg cartons. There were a lot of eggs in that house, so I destroyed all the eggs by kicking them, just to see the bodybuilders' reaction. They got angry and chased me around the house. I lost them and stopped in another kitchen, where I realized that through the window I was near the Grand Canyon. Since I was so lucid, I broke through the wall and flew like Superman. I noticed the division between the city and the earthy, mountainous area that blended together. I spent most of my dream looking for the place where I wanted to meditate, which was the highest peak, but I couldn't find it. When I finally found it, I was lucid, but it doesn't make sense. Why did I want to meditate in that specific place? How methodical, right? I found the place, and incredibly I noticed that the ground was different, since I had already meditated there a few times. That was really impressive. I didn't realize how amazing that was during the dream. But after I woke up, I thought, wow, the place was there with the ground a bit cleaner, you know? Like someone had already sat there many times before. And that detail was in my dream without me even trying to control it. Because I spent so much time in the dream looking for the highest peak, as soon as I sat down, I felt myself waking up, even before closing my eyes. One thing happens in lucid dreams. Whenever you realize you're lucid, from that moment on, the dream doesn't last as long. You experience more dream time when you're not lucid. But when you become lucid, it's kind of like premium time. The time will last very little. No matter how many techniques you use to stay longer, like I do, spinning around, it always gets shorter. It's a short time we have, and I spent this premium time searching for where I needed to meditate. So I kind of created a second reality, a second fictional world where I can visit and explore it. I mentioned this dream again to Guilherme, and he suggested I try another experiment. Try to go into the ground, try to go down some stairs. I said, okay, let's do what he's asking and see what happens. I also wrote down this last dream on my phone. Pretty lazy, huh? I tell you to write in a notebook, but I don't do it myself. Oh no, I had another dream before this one, even before trying to go downstairs. Wow, there's no way I can talk about that here. Some dreams are really heavy when it comes to YouTube. I couldn't mention what's going on here, otherwise I'd get my video demonetized. Look, next dream, let's go. Right at the beginning of the dream, I already remember a racetrack in the middle of the Grand Canyon. Paying attention to the clouds made me lucid. They looked like they were made of origami. They were fluffy, but as if they were made of folded paper. How random, man. Basically, I was having a dream about a Play 1 chart. Already fully lucid, I realized there were dead birds there on the track. Knowing I had powers because I was lucid, I decided to use them to revive the birds. They started to fly, and I got curious because they were creations of my subconscious. So I decided to use my magic to be pulled by them and see where they would take me. They were taking me really high, and when I realized it, they had also turned into origami clouds. Look how cute, isn't this so Harry Potter? When I was up there, seeing that vastness that I already knew like the palm of my hand, I felt like I already knew every part of that great canyon, as if I had visited it thousands of times. I remembered what Guilherme told me to do in a dream, to go downstairs. I looked down and realized I was on top of a hole, already with a ladder, so I started going down it quickly. I arrived at a place full of silver pyramids. They weren't pyramids like the ones in Egypt, those gigantic ones. They were smaller pyramids, but there were a lot of them. I went down those stairs over there and approached one of those pyramids and noticed that there were a lot of writings on them. It was as if the writings reminded me of some part of my life. But the word that was written had nothing to do with what it reminded me of. It's just that when I read that word, I would remember a moment, a random memory. And while I was there trying to understand why those words brought me those memories, the old man appeared in front of me. And then he said to me, "Everything you're seeing here is real, but you're not ready to understand." Then I left there and went to look for my meditation spot where I always meditate, up on the highest peak. When I tried meditating, I woke up again. In the next yoga channel video, Guilherme will talk about this. He has a degree in psychology and he knows how to interpret dreams pretty well. It's really cool. Well, if you liked this video, leave a like here if you enjoy dream videos. If you have any ideas for something I should try in a lucid dream, share them here. I really enjoy your suggestions. And see you in the next video. Actually, I have a dream here, Ate, where I was at the gym and everything seemed really real, but people were a bit too serious. And I have a really good friendship with the guys from Area 51. And I noticed that everyone was really serious, nobody said anything. It's usually very relaxed there. In the dream I thought, this must be a dream, everyone is so serious. And it was a dream.